It's been almost 2 years since World War Z came out, and I made a few videos on it back then, which did pretty well, but now we've got the new Aftermath expansion or DLC or update, whatever you want to call it, but it's added a lot of stuff on top of all the things that they added after the release of the game already. Aftermath adds a lot of gameplay features and things to do in the game, but it seems to be a heavily debated topic at the moment, especially in my Aftermath first-person gameplay video, whether or not it's worth the money, especially with Back 4 Blood coming out soon. So I'm interested to see what you guys have to say down in the comments of my actual review here. Here we are though, and I'm going to go through in my review and tell you guys what I think, whether or not it's worth buying for both the upgrade if you've already owned World War Z, and also if it's worth buying the complete game if you don't own any of it yet. By the way, make sure you check out my original World War Z review down below, because I thought the game was pretty good as it was, and that was when it only had 4 episodes. But if you want to skip that, basically a quick little summary of World War Z is that it's like an arcadey zombie shooter where you have different episodes or horde mode now, and you just go through and grind out and kill zombies and level up your stuff. A lot of World War Z fans are probably going to be mad that I dumbed it down to that level, but that's pretty much a very basic summary of the game. The most obvious thing that they came out with in Aftermath is this new first person mode, which is actually pretty damn cool. You can see by the gameplay here that it completely changes the game. It feels completely different, like an entirely different game. Personally, I think it puts you at a disadvantage in terms of skill and how far you're going to make it in like horde mode and higher difficulty campaign missions compared to third person. The first person is definitely cool. It was weird to adjust to at first because you're so used to third person, but I haven't really gone back to third person since. It adds a little bit of that Left 4 Dead feel, and after playing games like Back 4 Blood, I was honestly pretty disappointed. I felt like Back 4 Blood was like an empty, soulless, boring and generic copy of Left 4 Dead, except probably not even done as well. I was really disappointed in that. I mean, I know that was just the beta, but come on. I saw a lot of people worrying that this would be like GTA 5 and Red Dead 2's first person, where it's just terrible and inconvenient and a camera is thrown in front of your character and that's pretty much it. But this is way better than that. It plays pretty smooth and gives the game an entirely different feel to it. It does take you to third for melee and some small animations like climbing, which I actually think looks and feels better than it probably would in first person at this pace in the first place. Which also reminds me that you can't aim down your sights in first person, which is a bit of a shame when you see some of these loaded out guns where you want to just look down the red dot sight but you can't. But yeah, first person definitely gives off those Left 4 Dead vibes, or what you'd expect a new Left 4 Dead game to play like, especially in some of the more closed off sections of the game where you're walking through like a basement or a building and you turn a corner and a lurker scares the crap out of you. If you're a Left 4 Dead fan, I would definitely give World War Z a try in first person, but even if you're not, this game is totally worth it to play in third person, which is the way I prefer it some of the time. There was a lot of debate on my last video's comments on how they hid first person behind like a paywall of you having to buy Aftermath before being able to use it. At least that's how it is now, and maybe that'll change in the future or even once the game is fully released on the 21st. But yeah, the only way to play in this perspective right now is by having Aftermath. That seems to be one of the confusing parts about Aftermath, along with how this new update or DLC works and the pricing behind it, because they haven't really done a great job explaining much of it. It's $39.99 if you want to buy the entire World War Z Aftermath, which is the original game with the new update. It's $20 to upgrade if you already own it. It just wasn't available until Sunday to purchase the upgrade. On top of first person, it adds 2 different episodes, a more sunny set of levels called Rome, while this other one is the opposite, filled with snow and you're literally freezing to death some of the time. They come with new characters, or at least the Rome one does, with Marco here, and then the chick wearing the dirt bike attire that got a lot of attention before release, and then the new snow level, which I believe is set in Japan because it's got some characters returning from Tokyo, except they've got different outfits on. Both levels are pretty fun to run through and have some pretty cool horde fights, and it's nice to get something new to play, but I personally don't think they're as good as some of the OG levels in World War Z, like that first intro level in New York or Jerusalem or Tokyo. But then again, that could just be that nostalgic feel that they have to them after not playing for so long. Now, if you've never played World War Z though, you have 7 different episodes to play instead of the original 4 that were with it during the original release, because the 5th one was added sometime between then and now. And I said in my original review that the game was worth buying, so I definitely still think that now too. The first 3 episodes have 4 chapters while the rest have 3, by the way. One thing that I dislike about the game, and something that I've seen said about it since release, is about the bots. If you're playing solo, you're gonna have a harder time than if you were online, because the bots are sometimes just straight up trash. Like, I played through the first chapter in Rome twice in a row solo, and both times I couldn't pass it because the same exact thing happened. One bot would fall off the ledge here, and the other ones would just yeet themselves into the horde to go revive, and at first I was laughing because I was like, what the fuck is this? But then you realize you're about to be slammed into the ground to infinity with nobody to save you and have to restart the entire level. Even with some new players who don't know really what they're doing, I almost think you're more at an advantage than with these AI teammates. So definitely if you have the option to play online, you should probably play online. On top of all that, they've also got different weapon variants, which have different perks in the new special SMG, which I believe is a whole new weapon. Before the release, they were teasing that they had some new melee stuff, and I just figured it would be just like a weapon or something small, but they've actually got an entirely new melee system in Aftermath, which I think benefits the game a lot. You've got 3 different classes ranging from light to heavy, and each weapon has their own perks. These cleavers are pretty crazy, allowing you to basically infinitely swing. I imagine with the slasher class, this would be pretty crazy. Before we had melee where you just click a button repeatedly and swing, but now you've got signature strikes, which each class of weapons has a different type. After so many swings, you'll perform a signature strike. If you look at the new crossbow variant, it's actually pretty insane. I haven't used it yet, but the stats and perks alone are crazy. It seems like it'll definitely be a boss killer. But overall, we've got that entire melee overhaul, a few new weapon variants, and a new tier 3 gun, which you can try and use to take out this new special zombie, which is the mini plague of rats, which nobody seems to realize is very similar to a Plague Tale Innocence rats, which I loved that game, and I think it was hugely underrated. But they're actually the same publisher behind World War Z, so this is a pretty nice little Easter egg slash pretty cool type of zombie. It's just a little swarm of rats that come over and take you down. They seem to appear pretty randomly throughout different levels, and they're pretty rare. I've only run into them a couple of times, and I've run through all these new levels almost twice now. I don't know, maybe I'm just unlucky or lucky depending on how you look at it, because they're pretty strong. They can be pretty annoying on harder difficulties especially, because there's not a whole lot you can do to avoid them. They kind of just pop out. They take you down pretty much instantly, and you just gotta wait for some help like you would with a lurker, except they take a little bit longer to kill than the lurker does. If you guys have any tips dealing with the rats, leave them down in the comments. You also have a new class to play as called Vanguard, which allows you to use this little shield here where zombies not only can't attack you, but get damaged as well. And you can make this thing a lot better obviously as you level up the class. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of this class right now. I used it a bit, and then I went back to the Slasher and Medic, which is what I was using before when I used to play, but I haven't tested it out enough to really say whether it's really good or completely not worth using. If you've used it pretty in depth already, let me know down in the comments what you think on it. Overall, I think World War Z is a pretty good game, and it's a lot of fun, and it gives you a ton of different ways to grind out levels and upgrade all of your stuff. I can imagine if you really wanted to, you can grind out hours and hours in this game. I seen a guy in my game the other day that was level 900. It's more fun if you've got some friends for sure, but there's also matchmaking to help you out there as well. I think it's definitely worth the money, whether you're paying $40 for the full game and have never played, or just getting the $20 upgrade, not only because of this update, but because they have continued to update it and make it better. Since release, they've come out with a 5th episode, Horde Survival Mode, and a bunch of other stuff, and it looks like they're going to continue to update it because they're releasing a new special zombie, maybe along with some other stuff in a few weeks here in October. But yeah, subscribe for more. Make sure you guys let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about World War Z Aftermath so far. See ya.